Hey, it's Cobra here at MaddenGuides.com, and for this Madden Tips video breakdown, want to take a look at the Tom Brady Effect. And what that means is because he has these X-Factor ratings or superstar ratings or attributes, if you will, it makes him, in my opinion, probably the most effective quarterback in the game. Now, you can make an argument that some of the other quarterbacks that are faster, that have other superstar abilities can be better. For example, if you want to go with Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, all those guys, even Patrick Mahomes, which I actually think is the best quarterback in the league this year. But because he has some of these superstar ratings, Tom Brady, in particular this one I'm about to show, let's go ahead and zoom in on that because that's really what I want to go ahead and focus in on. This is what makes him so darn effective in the game, and this is the hot route master. He has those 4 additional hot routes that he can use for any receiver that's on the field, and to me, that just makes him that much more effective than any other quarterback in the game. And there's a reason why a lot of players choose to use the Buccaneers, and I believe this is the reason why. And I can't blame them because of the things you can do with those extra hot routes, in particular basically the angle route ran by the running back and then the crossing routes that you can have with the receivers. It makes it pretty deadly, let's put it that way. So let's go ahead and get on the field here and take a look at why I believe he is the best quarterback in the game, Tom Brady, and the effect that he has whenever you're playing, especially against whether it be a computer or playing against a human opponent. It makes it very, very difficult to defend him because of those extra hot routes that he's able to use to be able to hot route the receivers where they can run, and again, the angle route and the crossing route. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. The formation that we're going to use here is out of the Buccaneers playbook. It's called gun tight. So I want to go ahead and run this, and this happens to be one of my favorite formations over the years. I've run this a lot over the years, and I've always felt like it's pretty effective. The play that we're going to choose here out of the gun tight is called Bucks Corners. The reason I'm choosing this play is because of the 2 corner routes that are ran by the inside receivers. You'll have a receiver on the left and a tight end on the right. You could easily pick the bench formation or the bench play as well because you also got the 2 corner routes as well. And I'm going to show you why when we get in here to why I like this particular play as far as with Tom Brady and the hot routes that he's able to use here. So let's go ahead and go into it. And as you can see, if you look over here towards your left, let's go ahead and take a look at it. As far as with the routes are concerned here, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of these different receivers here. The first one I want to go ahead and show you is this guy right here. This is going to be Antonio Brown. Now, the Buccaneers are loaded on the offensive side of the ball, as most of you already know. They've got players all over the field that are very, very effective. So Brown's on that side, and then you got Godwin over here on this side. Now, what they're running initially is sit routes or spot routes where they spot up. But because of the Brady effect, what he's allowed to do is you can go ahead and hot route any receiver. In this case, those crossing routes are deadly. So we're going to go ahead and hot route both of those receivers on crossing routes. And as you look at it, you can see the route combination that we have. It's basically they're mirror routes on both sides. So now by just making these 2 hot route adjustments I made here, as you can see on your screen, you're going to have a crossing route here ran by Brown. Now let's kind of redo this, make it a little bit better here as far as what I'm trying to show you here. He's going to come up in this area here, and then he's going to run that crossing route over that direction. And then over here on the other side, you've got Godwin. He's also running this crossing route. So you've got 2 crossing routes. Now, what I like about the 2 corner routes, and the reason I chose this particular play was because these 2 corner routes, as you look at it on your screen, what they're going to do is they're going to widen the safeties. If, for example, a lot of players like to run 2-man under coverage. So if you've got these 2 safeties, it's going to widen these guys out further because of the corner route. So these 2 safeties have to go further out wide, and therefore it's going to open up more room as these 2 receivers that are running these crossing routes come underneath. Now, I know a lot of the players, especially a lot of your human players, I kind of messed up a little bit on that illustration there, but you can see the 2 crossing routes coming across. A lot of players like to control a linebacker or a safety to try to defend the middle of the field, which is fine. So, for example, say that they want to control this linebacker. Let's do the linebacker here. Let's do Let's just go ahead and do the linebacker here. This linebacker here is actually going to be rushing. This one right here, as you look at your screen, he's supposed to be blitzing. So let's say they control him, for example. So rather than actually have him blitzing, what they're going to do is they're going to control him. So I'm just going to kind of make him look like he's in a spy order, but they're in control of him. So what they're going to try to do is try to take away these routes over the short middle of the field to the mid-middle of the field, and they're going to do this. The problem with that is they can't be two places at once. So if we've got two crossing routes because of what Brady's able to do with his hot route abilities, then there's no way that they can be in two spots at one place, and there's no way they can cover both of these routes. So if your opponent was to cheat towards this direction, then you'd look to throw to the right. If he was to cheat towards this direction, you'd look to throw to the left. So it makes it very, very difficult to defend the crossing routes because you can't be two places at once. I don't care who you are. I don't care how great your stick skill are. You can't not defend that. So let's go ahead and run the play. And I'm not even moving around some of the other receivers here. So right there you can see that he's open, makes the catch, and we've got a nice 20, 25-yard catch right there, about 20 yards right there. So let's go ahead and do the same thing again. And that's what makes Tom Brady, in my opinion, just because of these hot routes he's able to do, makes him a lot more effective than some of the other quarterbacks in the game, if not the most effective quarterback in the game, because you can't be at two places at once. Again, I could go. So my opponent cheats to the right side, and I go to the left side, and I still got the same results there. So my point is, very, very hard to defend when you've got someone who's able to do what I'm showing here. And then I'm going to show you something else in a second here. Let's go run it one more time here. This time we'll go back to Brown. Now, bump and run man coverage can make this a little bit harder to throw, but not to the point that it's going to kill it. Now, one of the things you might be noticing is I'm throwing it because of those corner routes. Those receivers are kind of in that area. One of the things you might consider doing is rather than hot routing those guys, since they're already running corner routes, they might be a little more effective if they're in bump and run man coverage because they're not going to get out as fast. So maybe something like this you might consider doing is just making some more hot. I'm not a big hot route adjustment guy. I don't like to hot route multiple guys, but you can if you want. So maybe if you wanted to, you could have something like this going on right here. Let me see if I can get this to get what I want here. For some reason, it's not hot route. Here we go. So now I've got the two inside receivers running streaks, and then I've got the two crossers right here as you look at it. So that might be something else you do. That way those receivers aren't bringing their guys into the area. This is against non-bump and run. So this might be an option you could run to as well as you wanted to. It's up to you. I just stick with the corner routes, to be honest with you. I think they do just fine here. You'll have enough room to make that throw. However, if your opponent goes into bump and run man coverage, let's go ahead and show that to you real quick here. So you got the two crossers again that I'm showing. They're really easy to make the crossing, the hot routes real quick and able to do it real quick. So there you go again. You've got the crossing routes. And really, you're just looking to see who's going to get open. Now, unfortunately, that time I didn't get enough time. And even if these guys are playing really, really super tight, which is what they were on that last play, you should still get somebody where you can make these throws in here. Let's see if I can get Brown over here. He'll be open this time. So there's Brown, and I'm able to make that throw. Even though that was a really, really tight window, a lot of times you can still complete that pass, even if they are that tight. And that comes back to a couple other attributes that you got here. Let's go back into Tom Brady and take a look at some more of those X factors. I want to show you a couple other things about him that makes him, again, in my opinion, the most effective quarterback in the game. If you look here, let's go ahead and zoom in again. And let's take a look at it right here. This one right here, if he's set, it increases his throwing power when leaning the bullet pass. So on that last pass I just made, I threw a bullet pass, so his throwing power is going to make him even more increased when he's set, so the ball's going to get there quicker. So it's going to make it that much harder for the receivers the defenders to try to defend those type of passes. Also, even if he's getting pressure, he's got that fearless, immune to defensive pressure while in the pocket. Again, if they got guys all over his feet, he can still make that throw and complete it. And then finally, the other thing I want to point out here, let's go back and zoom in one more time, is this Conductor one. He's got faster hot routing and blocking adjustments, so he can quickly get through. When you're making those adjustments, it's pretty quick to be able to do that. So I may not make that much of a difference to some of you guys, especially if you got plenty of time on the clock. It doesn't really matter. But at any rate, that's a lot of things he can do that a lot of other quarterbacks cannot do. And again, that's why he's called the GOAT, the greatest of all time. So I think a lot of the stuff you're seeing here may not be based on this year's real NFL stats that he's doing. I think it's been credited to him for as many seasons he's been in the league and what he's been able to accomplish is why EA's leaving all these in there. This may, for all I know, maybe his last season, so he wanted to go out with a bang, and he's allowing them to have all this. Because again, if you're basing it on this year's stats, real NFL stats, he's not this type of an elite type of quarterback. He's still a good quarterback, but not an elite great quarterback like he has in years past. But anyway, that's what I want to show there. One last thing I want to go back into is this, and I want to go ahead and hot route the running back on the Texas route right there, which is the angle route, and then I'm going to hot route Brown on a crosser. So I've got this right here as you look at it, and I want to show you why that this is, again, comes back to the Brady effect. Even though they're in bump and run man coverage, if my opponent, we'll go back in and look at this, and I'm going to show you this because he cannot defend both of these routes at the same time. So now we've got a crosser and we've got an angle route. And again, if we were to go in here and look at this, there's no possible way he can defend both of these routes. So say he's in control of that blitzing linebacker that I showed earlier out of the cover 2-man defense I'm showing out of the dollar. So say this is him, this arrow. Pretend like that's just him. I know it's not a player, but just pretend like he's here. So he's defending this area here. Now he's looking at both these receivers. He's looking here. He's looking over here. He's just seeing what's going on, right? Well, as the play develops, let's go ahead and keep going here. As the play develops, right there, he's in the middle of the field. Now he's defending this area pretty good. You know, he's got it. The problem is, I also got, don't forget, this play right here I'm showing, I got 2 corner routes being ran, one by Evans and one by Gronkowski. That alone is going to be hard to defend because you got 2 corner routes going on. But at any rate, say he's here and he decides to go this direction here to try to take this guy out. He tries to cover this and manually cover this guy. Well, then this guy's open. If he comes over here and tries to defend this guy, then this guy's going to probably be open. So he cannot be in 2 places at once. And then, as I said earlier, those 2 corner routes, they're both effective against cover 2-man coverage for the most part, especially if you got elite receivers running those routes. It makes it even that much more effective. So if you're using the Buccaneers and you're struggling on offense, then there's something you're not doing right, because this particular team on the offensive side of the ball shouldn't be a problem scoring points with this team because, honestly, because of the Brady effect or the X factor ratings that Tom Brady has as far as what he can do on hot routes and some of the other superstar abilities that he has makes him, in my opinion, the best quarterback in Madden 21. Now, some of you might want to argue with that, and that's great, but in my opinion, he's the best quarterback because he can do all the things that, just alone these things here. Of course, he doesn't have the speed, but the fact that he has all these superstar ratings that really, in my opinion, really matter, then that makes him that effective and that much more effective than any other quarterback in Madden 21. So again, the Tom Brady effect, pretty nice to have if you're using the Buccaneers, and I understand why people are using this team. Hey Madden gamers, if you enjoy this Madden video or any other video, please subscribe to the Madden Guides YouTube channel. And as always, thanks for watching and for your support.